Hi everyone, Al here from Open Walnut. Today we will be doing CozyHosting, an easy Linux-based system from Hack the Box. This is my first video of this style, so I hope you enjoyed. Now let's get into it. Let's begin this box by creating a folder for these machines where we can store all of the artifacts. Now let's go to that folder, and from here let's use Nabu port scanner to perform a full scan of the host to find out which ports are open. To do that, we use nabu-host, IP address, top ports flag set to full, and then we'll pass on nmap CLI with version scan and default script scan. While this is running, let's split the terminal and run a quick nmap scan for the top 100 ports. That way, while the full port scan is running, we have something to do and something to investigate. So we're not just wasting our time. Here we have port 80 and port 22. Let's quickly run Nikto, which is a vulnerability scanner on port 80, to see if that yields any results. While these are scanning, let's add our host name to, sorry, not our host name. Let's add the DNS name to our etc hosts file. So we'll add the IP address and we'll name it cozy.htb. Let's save that. Permission denied. I should have ran that command with sudo. So let's try sudo now. And let's paste that in and save that. Now that we've saved that, let's go to the browser and quickly enumerate the website. CozyHosting.htb. Oops, that forwarded us to Google. Let's put http / cozyhosting.htb here. That should bring us to the website. And here we have our web application. Looks like an application that offers modern solutions for growing your business by hosting other people's websites. Let's check out the services. Still the same page. Pricing, still the same page. Let's look over the links, nothing special here. Let's log in. And here we have login screen. However, nothing else seems to stand out. Now let's use GoBuster to find out any additional directories that might be present. At the starting point, we'll use directory list medium. Forgot to put that it's a directory busting. And now let's put on the URL. CozyHosting.htb. And this is a rather large list, so this will take a while. Let's wait for a few results to appear, and then we can start enumerating some of the pages it found. So far, we have index login, admin, which is 401. That means it is a restricted interface. And then we have logout and error. Let's go back and see if Nikto has found anything. Nothing at Nikto. Nabu is still scanning as well. Let's quickly enumerate the links. The links don't seem to actually lead anywhere. If you look at the left side of the screen, there's a little link there and it's all hashtagged. Now let's go back to our GoBuster terminal. This is still scanning, nothing interesting. Or our Nabu scan seemed to have finished, but nothing interesting, nothing really interesting there. We can collapse the Nabu scan and let's go back to GoBuster. It seems like we have a few different endpoints now, and let's go check out if the error messages can reveal us any further information. Sometimes it's good to look at the error messages as they do leak important information. Nothing here, just 400 bad requests. Let's look at the error with 500 status at the error endpoint. And here we have white label error. The application has no exploit, has no explicit mapping. For error, you're seeing this as fallback. So let's Google that and see if this can give us any more information about the underlying technology. Let's click on the first Stack Overflow link. And looks like it is a Spring Boot application. I believe that sec lists actually have a word list for Spring Boot. So let's go back to our GoBuster terminal. Let's split it in two and let's go to the sec lists discovery web content folder. And let's grep for Spring. Yeah, there we go. There is a Spring Boot word list indeed. Our Nikto scan has seemed to finish as well, but as we can see, there's nothing really interesting there. So let's use GoBuster again simultaneously with the other one still running to just quickly scan the website. This should be a pretty small word list. And there we go. We actually here we have a bunch of 200s. And let's go to Actuator and see what we can find there. Close the Nikto quick. Get it out of the way. Actuator. And here we see various endpoints. Let's go to the env. And env presents us a lot of different information. Let's quickly search for maybe something like password or user and see if that gives us anything. I'm not too familiar with Spring Boot application, so I'm just randomly sort of enumerating for obvious stuff. Nothing seems to be here, at least for user. Let's go to sessions. That would be the next interesting occurrence here. And in session, it looks like a username and what looks to me like a cookie. Let's see if we have a cookie here, just so we can compare the length of them. Doesn't seem like we have a cookie. Let's try to log in and that should generate us a cookie. Go back to cookies. And here, yes, we have a cookie. Let's use Python to see the length of this. I think I made a mistake. There we go. Oh, nothing printed. I should have used print, but whatever. I'll just use the interpreter quick. So length. Let's see how long our cookie is, and let's compare that to the value there. So both of them are 32 characters in length, though that potentially can be our cookie. Let's paste it in the cookie section, and now let's refresh the page. There we go. We got access to the web application itself. No profile, and the only input fields it seems to are connection settings, which is hostname and username. And looks like it's some sort of SSH command or something like that. That did not work. Let's see if I can. Let's turn on Burp Suite just so we can have the history of our requests, which will make it easier to analyze. For those who don't know, Burp Suite is a web proxy created for web application pen testing. And I used Foxy Proxy as to quickly switch in between different proxy settings in the browser. So here we go. Looks like it makes a request to execute SSH endpoint. Let's see if we can. Well, let's see what happens if we just type in hostname. Looks like we got 400 when we typed in just the hostname. So let's see what the error looks like. The error comes in through the admin endpoint, and Burp Suite has this sweet decoding feature, which can translate it to plain text for us. As we can see here, it gives us some sort of SSH feedback on how to use the command. So this looks like a code, in some sort of code injection vulnerability. So let's put this into the repeater, and this, or intruder actually, and let's see if we can make something out of it. Let's see if we can fuzz. Let's see if we can fuzz some sort of command injection and alter the SSH query. We'll just use simple list, and here we'll use fuzzing word list from seclists, the one that deals with OS injection, operating system command injection. Yep, let's just use that. And that should start fuzzing for us. Let's see if anything interesting comes up. But actually, I believe I made a mistake here. I should have forwarded this to my proxy. That way I actually have history. So I believe this will actually be sort of useless, as it only sends payloads to SSH endpoint. No, SSH execute, I believe it was called. But the answer comes from admin endpoint with the error message. So I believe that was pretty useless. But let's look at SSH command injections. I need to turn off my proxy here, otherwise, or import a certificate. But I'm too lazy to do the certificate now, so let's just use for Foxy Proxy, and switch off the proxy setting for Burp Suite. For Burp Suite in the browser. As you can see here, I'm going over the proxy and there is no history, just as I mentioned earlier. Let's just cancel that, and yes, let's turn off the proxy settings. Let's Google around for SSH command injection and see what we get. Let's go to Hack Tricks and quickly scroll through there to see if there is anything relevant. For command injections, looks like there is. Let's try a few of these and see what we get. You could do this in Burp Suite or you can do this in the browser. I guess Burp Suite would probably be easier for some people, but let's see. Yep, so here we can't have white spaces in the username. So the next one with no white spaces would be the ls with 2 tildes. Tilde, I think the character is called. Or whatever, that those 2 weird quotes. Let's go back and see what we can get. So it seems like that did not work. Oh, I forgot to turn on the proxy back. So let's do that and rerun the command. Let's see the error we get now. A lot of these sort of command injections is trial and error, and see and enumerating what error you get just so you can modify your injection properly. Let's do ls ID. So see, by now we got at least 3 different types of errors. So I feel like we're getting closer. So maybe I need to nothing else here, but maybe I need to separate the command with something like and signs and do ls. That didn't seem to work. Maybe I can look for other separators as well. I believe semicolon also separates it, but let's see. Let's go back and look at other command injections. Let's go to portswigger maybe. I forgot to turn the proxy off again. Yep, let's turn the proxy off. I'll go to portswigger and see what if we can find anything there. I would say always use multiple sources whenever you do your research of exploit, because different people sometimes write different things. And look, as I mentioned before, the semicolon can also be used as a separator. So let's maybe try using that instead of an end. Our an end is right there as well, as you can see. So maybe I wasn't too far off. So let's go back, and here we'll do semicolon and ls. let's run that and see if what kind of output we get. Turn on Foxy Proxy again, and let's go back and look at our output. Let's highlight it so it can be decoded for us. And look, it looks like we got a file name, cloudhosting001.jar. That's completely different than all of the other outputs, so I feel like we're on the right track. So now let's find some sort of reverse shell that does not have any white spaces. You can achieve that with probably doing base64 encoding and then decoding it on the victim side. However, you can also use something like this right here. So let's try that, and let's go back to the application, and let's run a reverse shell. Sorry, netcat first, so we can catch our reverse shell. And see NVLP. Let's listen on port 8000. And now we're ready to run the command. Let's get our IP. And yep, let's just change the IP and change the port number. 8000. Let's click submit. And there we go. It looks like we got a reverse shell. From here, I believe we need to run another command, which is exec, and forward it to AND0, which will let our shell get output. From here, let's use Python to get TTY. We'll use pty.spawn, or import pty and pty.spawn -bin bash. There we go. We are in the app directory, logged in as app user, and here we have the cloud hosting jar file that we've seen on the output earlier. It's a Java archive data file. And now let's run a privilege escalation script. We'll use Linpeas. Let me find it quick. I'm just gonna use locate. I can't. I know I have it somewhere. Let's update the database for locate. Locate is a very nice utility that lets you find files really quick, because it has a database with all the files indexed. So now I know where my Linpeas are. Let's go back to that directory, and we will run a web server out of there using Python HTTP server. Let's run it on port 80. And I forget how to run it remotely using curl. Let's go to the GitHub page quickly. Yeah, sorry guys, very noob moment right now. It's curl-l. Well, at least now I will for sure remember it for next time. Curl-l And let's put our IP address and Linpeas. I made a mistake. Let's retype that. I put Linpeas instead of Linpeas. And there we go. It's executing. Let's make that part of the terminal a bit bigger. And right now we'll just quickly glance through everything, and I will most likely go back to the jar archive file. My strategy is usually go for the very obvious. So if you get a reverse shell as a user, for example, first thing do sudo -l to see if you have any sudo rights, or enumerate the files in the folder where you gave your reverse shell to. That's usually my go-to first movements after running the privilege escalation script. So here we have 4 different users: Josh, Postgres, root, and the app user. Right now, we're the app user. Let's quickly scroll and see if we find anything interesting to note for later. Nothing really stands out to me. I know I'm scrolling very quickly, but I also sped up the video a little bit. So it's actually way quicker than it seems. And in the unexpected file in the root is the app folder. So maybe my hunch to enumerate that file was not so wrong after all. So now let's run an HTTP server here on the victim machine and download the jar file. Since jar file is an archive, you can use unzip utility to decompress it. There are many other utilities you can use, but for simple first step enumeration, my go-to would be decompress the file, grep for something obvious like password or username. And after that, if I want a more structured approach, I would maybe use some sort of a GUI utility to have the graphical representation of the jar in front of me. But for now, let's just download the file. As you can know, as you notice, we've ran the HTTP server on a higher port on the victim machine. That's because we don't have root privileges to run it on a lower port. I believe the first top 1,000 ports you need the root privilege to run anything there. Maybe wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's something along those lines. Now that the cloud hosting jar file is downloaded, let's, as I mentioned, use unzip to quickly decompress it and extract all of the files. Here, let's use grep, R for recursive, and let's search for password. As we can see, there are a few password occurrences, and here we have Spring Data Source password, which is most likely going to be the database password. And as if you remember, there is Postgres SQL database that's running on the victim. Let's just cat the whole file to see what else is there. Hopefully there's a username. Here we have the server information. There is a username indeed, and there is a password. So now let's go back to the victim. I don't know how to gracefully exit the HTTP on the reverse shell, so we'll just do another shell, a new shell. Our session has expired. Let's renew, add the cookie again, refresh the page, and we're back here, and let's execute our reverse shell again. Let's repeat all of these steps to get our PTY. Made a mistake here. I believe it needs to be Python 3-C. C stands for command, not module. Let's just quickly copy paste it from the previous login. So now I've actually never used Postgres before. Let's Google how to log in there. Oh, seems pretty straightforward. PSQL. We'll do localhost as our host. We'll copy and paste the password. That didn't work. I think it didn't like that I pasted the password like that. There we go. Let's paste the password again. Oops, wrong password. Oh, I think I know why. I think it's a %sign character. Let's try to sign in without the %sign character. And there we go, we're in. Let's see if show databases or show table is the same as another SQL, MySQL, the other SQL databases, but just in case, let's Google it. Like I said, I've never used Postgres before. Apparently it's not, so to list tables, we do /TT. Let's see. I guess C connects us to a database. DT should live stable, DL. Did not find any relations. I guess there is no tables or. Again, did not find any relations. Let's see. Let's see how to see all of the databases. Oh, we use L. I guess L stands for list. And here, let's see. Let's see how to select, how to use a database. Apparently, the syntax here is a bit different than MS SQL or MySQL. So let's use C to connect to Postgres. GT, nothing. Let's use C. Let's use C to connect to CozyHosting. And let's use DT here. Oh, okay, so here it gives us the tables. Let's do select from. Hopefully that's the same. Perfect, it is. And here we have username admin and hash. Let's copy the hash. We can use hash ID to identify what kind of hash it is. And then let's use, apparently it's blowfish. And let's use hashget to crack it. Let's grab for blowfish what number it is. It's 3200. So Hashcat A0, 0 stands for dictionary attack, M stands for what type of hash it is. If we want to crack at 3200 as indicated above. Let's paste our hash in a hash.txt document. And now let's crack it. It didn't seem to run. Let's try it again. The hash looks okay. Let's try to run it again with pasting the hash. And let's check the hashcat syntax. Yeah, seems like my syntax is right. Oh, I'm silly. I guess I've already ran this, and let's see, Manchester United. There we go. That's the password. Sorry, guys. I re-recorded this part of the video because the other one was a bit too crumpled. So I already did the hash. My apologies. So the hash cracked to Manchester United. So now let's try to log in as Josh with using the Manchester United password. Beautiful, great success. Let's now we can use something better than the reverse shell. Let's try to log in with SSH instead, which will be a much better shell and a much more stable shell than the basic reverse shell that we were using before. So, as I mentioned before, my first approach as logging in as a user is usually doing sudo l. That's a low-hanging fruit, and you'd be surprised how many times it works in CTFs and even in real life sometimes. So, looks like our SSH adventures continues, and Josh can run SSH as sudo. I should have not catted out the user text, but I am hiding it with a layover. Hopefully nobody sees that. Let's see how to execute commands with SSH. I know there is -c, but I don't think -c will work for our purposes. Let's quickly scroll through here. And I don't really find anything that I'd find useful. Because -c, even with sudo, will still execute as the person that you're executing now. Sudo doesn't affect that, so we need something different. Nothing really interesting comes up here for SSH 2ID. Privilege escalation. Let's do SSH client maybe. Let's look at the SSH man page to see how it tells us to execute command. I'm just gonna put in word command and kind of quickly go through all the flags to see if anything of it catches my attention. Nothing really interesting in my opinion. Again, it's just a quick glance for low-hanging fruit. Let's see if we can find something on living off the land. Let's go to GTFO bins. Living off the land living off the land websites or websites that describe living off the land tools usually provide you pretty cool ideas sometimes. So here we have a few different commands: localhost shell. We also have SSH proxy, which spawns interactive shell. And that didn't really do much. I wonder if it's because I forgot to type in sudo. And up, let's run another SSH. Let's open a new terminal. And the other one froze for some reason. And let's try again with sudo. So sudo, let's paste that. Oh, there we go. And we got root.